While Myanmar's progress towards democracy has been heralded by many countries around the world, human rights still remains a serious concern. Ethnic violence, particularly against Muslim minorities, has once again surged in recent weeks. Vijay Nambiar is the United Nations Secretary-General's Special Advisor on Myanmar. Vijay Nambiar, thank you very much for joining Newsline.
Good evening to you.
Your role as Special Advisor to the UN Secretary-General on Myanmar has had you travelling in and out since 2010, but now the situation seems to be deteriorating in the country. Would you agree with that?
There have been certain violent incidents which have taken place in central Myanmar, which is disturbing. But I don't know whether we can say that the entire situation in the country has been deteriorating. I think broadly the reform process is on track. There have been violent attacks in June and October last year. And these new disturbances are certainly very a cause for great concern. And how it plays out, whether or not it spreads to other parts, is going to be critical in affecting the overall situation.
The violence spreading to central Myanmar recently seems to have come quite suddenly. Are you aware of what factors might have been at play there?
From our own conversations with the victims, as you know, the government had agreed to sending a few of the community leaders, the Muslim community leaders, some monks and Christian priests, along with members of the government, including the Chief Minister and the general who's looking after the law and order now that the emergency has been declared. We all went to see some of the victims, and from the accounts of the victims, it appeared that these were elements which had come from outside and which they did not immediately recognize. And that they were a little overwhelmed and surprised, almost traumatized by the incident. So to that extent, it is a little, one would get the impression that these were criminal elements from outside.
Many people have been waiting to see what Aung San Suu Kyi would say. Has the UN been in touch with her? And do you have any sense of what her role may be?
I have not directly been able to contact her, but the United Nations resident coordinator has been in touch with her. And I think there is a certain commonality of view and a certain unity in terms of approach in dealing with the current crisis. And I think that there is also a clear understanding that this is not an issue on which you can actually you can let it affect the politics of the differences between the parties. All of them have a common stake in seeing that the violence does not spread and that harmony among the communities is preserved.
Is there any chance that the government would reconsider the current statelessness of the Rohingya people?
The government seems to be keen on looking at the humanitarian aspect on the one hand, because the monsoons are going to come very soon, and the shelters which have already been constructed need to be strengthened and made somewhat more permanent in the sense of livable to be able to withstand the rigors of the monsoon, of the rains. But on the other hand, the government, particularly the Minister of Immigration, is keen on looking at the larger question of citizenship, etc. And I think they are conscious that they need to come out with both temporary and long-term measures to address this question.
For several years now, you've been the Special Representative on Myanmar. As you travel in and out, do you see that economic change